The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by Aging Partners. Find out more on their website.
Hi everybody, welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Kim Hachia. Stay tuned as we're going to be talking about open enrollment, which is coming up this fall, and you won't want to miss it. It's an interesting segment.
Books are not just entertaining, but a gateway to the world and for enjoyment and reading. Hi, I'm Barb Tyler, and today I'll be talking with Kathleen Alsey, who's the Executive Director of Link to Literacy, an organization here and founded here in Lincoln, about reading.
Hi everyone. Long-term care is an important option available to aging adults in Nebraska. Joining us today are two experts in the field, Jaylene Carpenter, President and CEO of the Nebraska Healthcare Association, and Kirsten Reed, President and CEO of Leading Age Nebraska. You'll want to stay tuned.
This and more on today's Live and Learn.
Hi everybody, welcome to Live and Learn. My name is Kim Hachia, and I would like to once again thank our friends and professionals here at LNK-TV and also at Aging Partners for producing the show. They do great work, and it's really fun to work with them every month or so. So we're coming up on a season where many of us need to make decisions about next year's health care and health insurance needs, and that thing is called open enrollment. And it can be kind of scary, or it can be really easy. And a person who's going to make it easy is my guest today. Her name is Molly Stoles, and she works at Aging Partners, where she is a benefits specialist. But I think of her as being like the rock star of insurance rules and all that kind of stuff, because it can be very intimidating, I think. So Molly, thanks for coming to the show today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks. Molly's been on the show before. We've talked about a lot of different things. She is a regular contributor to Aging Partners' Aging Well magazine, where she often writes about insurance things and stuff. So back issues are available, and you can always contact her. So anyway, we are talking about open enrollment. So let's define some terms. What is it? When is it? Why should we care?
Yes, so open enrollment is typically the one time of year that Medicare participants can switch their Medicare drug plan. It runs from October 15th through December 7th each year. Medicare Advantage participants are eligible to switch their plan at this time. They also have an additional open enrollment period that runs from January 1st to March 31st. And so it's just that one time a year where we can make changes, we can look into the future and see what's coming up for the following year.
Okay, so let's say that, are there changes from going into 2026 that we should be aware of?
Yes, so last year there was a maximum out-of-pocket that was introduced, or they're calling it a true out-of-pocket. So beneficiaries had a cap on their drugs. The most they would spend in a calendar year is $2,000. We know for sure that that amount is going up to $2,100 for 2026, and they are projecting that the Part D deductible, which is $590 in 2025, will be increasing in 2026. We don't have the official number yet, but typically that amount does go up as well.
Okay, so explain what Part D is.
Yes, Part D is the drug coverage that goes with Medicare. They are insurance companies that are contracted with Medicare to sell exclusively prescription coverage.
Okay, so what do folks need to do if they're, if I do nothing, what happens?
If you do nothing, typically your plan will just roll over into the next year. However, what we run into is the plans are making changes to their formularies, to their premiums. The deductible, of course, is changing. The government is making changes to the plans as well. So we have a lot of change happening. Your individual medications may be changing or have changed. So we need to double check just to see if the plan is still the best one for the following year and the most cost effective. The other thing that we run into during open enrollment is there are new plans that are coming on, and then existing plans often do what's called crosswalking, where they maybe eliminate a plan that's in existence and they just automatically move you into a new plan. Oftentimes that plan is higher premium or has a higher deductible, so it's really important that we just double check to make sure that's the best option.
So how would I go about doing that?
Yes, so you can contact Aging Partners or Nebraska SHIP, the Senior Health Insurance Program. We both provide unbiased information. We offer appointments in a myriad of ways. So we will offer in-person appointments, telephone appointments. Aging Partners can offer Teams or Zoom appointments as a virtual option. So we have a lot of choices. SHIP will offer in-person or telephone appointments as well.
Are most people able to navigate this on their own? I mean, it's all online, right?
It is. Medicare's website is actually very easy to use, so people certainly can. If you've created a Medicare.gov account, your medications that have recently been filled are preloaded, which is very nice.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit confusing just to sort of navigate all the tiers that come with the drugs and why are my medications this cost now, but later they're going to be less expensive. So if you need a little bit more additional explaining, that's when it becomes helpful to meet with a counselor.
Right. So if I was going to make an appointment with you and have you go over my stuff, what do I need to do ahead?
Yes, so it's very important that we have a Medicare card or a Medicare number. We cannot make any changes without that.
Okay.
And then we will need a current list of medications, so it needs to be accurate. We usually need to know the current drug plan that people are on, just that way we can have something to compare it to. And then it's important to know like what pharmacies people want to use, where they want to go. Are they going to be traveling? So do we need a national pharmacy versus just a local one? So just being prepared with all of the information that people are currently using is helpful to us.
Yeah, I had that happen to me once when we were traveling and I had to pick up a prescription that was coming close to the end, and so we had to make a special trip to, like, we were in someplace like Missoula, Montana, and so I had to make sure that they had a Walgreens there. And
Yes.
And then when I went to get it refilled a month later in Lincoln, they said, "Oh, we have it here at Missoula."
Yep.
So it's like, way to go, Walgreens, good job. But you know, it wasn't their fault. But
Right.
yeah, so if you are a person that travels a lot, you probably do need to think about that.
Yes, yep, and we do tend to ask those questions just to make sure that we have, even if you want to use a local pharmacy, we have a backup that's available
Right.
nationally. Yep.
Right. That's pretty interesting.
Yes.
So you talked about SHIP. So what is SHIP?
SHIP is the Senior Health Insurance Program. They're a state agency, and so they do a lot of, so the Aging Partners benefits counselors are SHIP trained. That's where we
Okay.
get our information. So SHIP is just another entity. They have a few more people who are able to do the Part D comparisons than Aging Partners does. So they're always a backup for us if we get too full.
Right. So, and you said that there's these, dates, October 15th to December 7th. I'm thinking it's probably, if you're going to need help, it's better to make that appointment October 16th than December 6th.
Yes. So we start taking appointments for open enrollment the day after Labor Day.
Okay.
So we're prepared for that. I suggest people call in earlier rather than later. There's just two of us who do it full time during open enrollment. We get busy very quickly. So for those mishaps, we just want to make sure people are fully ready. So
Right.
calling earlier is definitely appreciated.
And is there a cost?
No. So for our services, everything is a suggested contribution,
Okay.
which means there's no actual fee. So what we do is we mail out a packet prior to the appointment. It includes a list of what you need to bring, instructions and forms we need filled out just for the appointment. And then there's a little slip of paper in there about the suggested cost of the appointment, so people can mail in a check or bring cash to their appointment if they are able to.
Great. And then SHIP is also free?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's awesome.
Yes.
So what else do you want people to know about insurance things in general, as we're moving into the system? Because, of course, we're moving in that time of year where everybody gets a million postcards and come-ons and blah, 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 and how do you sort through that?
Yes, it's very important for people to start watching their mail as soon as September rolls around, because that's when we're going to get notices about plans that are being crosswalked, plans that are going away, premium changes, deductible changes. That's all going to get mailed out, and it's really important to pay attention to that, but it can be really hard to muddle through it. So I always tell people, pay attention to anything coming from Medicare, anything coming from Social Security, and anything coming from an insurance plan that they are already assigned or signed up for. Anything else, if it's a company you've never heard of, a company you're not utilizing, throw it away, or it's not
Recycle it.
pertinent to this moment or for your plan.
Right.
The other thing that we get a lot of questions about during this time are Medicare supplementals. We can review those for people as well. You're not tied to this period. You don't have to make a change before December 7th, but we're happy to review premium increases or coverages at the time of the
So
open
when is
enrollment.
the change for supplementals? When does that happen?
There is no official open enrollment for supplementals. People can switch out of a Medicare supplement as long as they're able to pass a health questionnaire any time of year.
Oh, that's interesting. That's good to know, because I
Yep.
thought you had to only have a certain,
Yes,
there was a date and you had to do it by then.
Yep, for drug plans and for Advantage plans, yes, there is, but not for the Medicare supplements.
Oh,
But people do tend to like to review all their plans at once.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
You're involved at the time, and you
Yep.
shouldn't have to think about that.
Right.
So how did you get interested in this?
Yes, so I originally was a rehab social worker at a nursing home, and I dealt a lot with Medicare plans, and I felt like there were a lot of people who had Medicare but didn't fully understand it or know what their benefits were, and so maybe they weren't getting the full benefit out of their insurance. So when this position came available, I was really interested in being able to provide education and learn more about it for myself. I have aging parents, I have aging grandparents, so it's nice to be able to provide the information as needed.
You must have some great stories of people that you've helped who have, come back later and said, "Wow, you saved me a lot of money," or "Thank you, I admire you for being able to do this," because it's so convoluted and crazy, and you just kind of think, who invented this system? Because it's just kind of nuts sometimes.
Yeah.
And I would hope that somebody would look through the thing early and say, "Oh, this completely contradicts this," and I don't know, I'm hoping they do that, who knows. But
Yes, so part of my job, I am able to sit down with people when they're first retiring to provide the education and try to get people set up with the best plans that we can, and also educate them on the times that they can change and what those times mean. And so I think getting in there early, trying to set people up, not having double coverage or paying more than they need, getting a plan that they're not spending crazy amounts of money on, all of that's important. So I think the sooner people can come in, the newer they are to Medicare, the better it is.
Right. So let's say I wanted to just come in now. Could I do that?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
we will meet with anybody.
Okay.
We accept walk-ins, we accept appointments, and we can go over, I have people who just want to understand their coverage better, and we can meet now and then set up an appointment for open enrollment.
Right, okay.
Or people who get put on a new med. If you don't know what it's going to cost or it's really expensive, we have things we can look into without changing the drug plan. Work
Yeah.
with what's available.
Okay, yeah, wow. So, and then let's go over Aging Partners is in its sort of new location,
Yes.
which, new meaning what, you're 2 years?
2.5, I
Wow,
think.
so let's talk about where that's at.
Yes, we are at 600 South 70th, so we're
Okay.
across the street from CHI Hospital.
Okay.
Our entrance is on the back side of the brick building that you
Okay.
can see from 70th. So
Okay.
we face east, but we're in the whole building back there. When you walk in, you speak with our receptionist, Anita, and she greets you, and then we usually come get our appointments and take them back to our
Okay,
offices.
and for old timers like me, we think of that as the VA.
Yes.
So, and it's on that beautiful park-like area and a big, lovely building with the sort of faux columns, pilasters in the front.
Yes.
So that's very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exciting. Anything else you want to tell me?
I think just to highlight sort of what else we do as benefits counselors. So not only do we help with Medicare and insurance, but we can help with homestead tax exemption in the spring. So homeowners who are eligible to get a reduction in their taxes, we help fill out those forms and turn them in for people. I can help with not just Medicare, but long-term care insurance. I can talk about Medicaid, I can help people apply for those benefits. So we kind of do a whole host of things, and then Aging Partners has several other services to offer. So I always tell people, if you have a question, call.
Yeah.
If we don't know the answer, we usually know someone who
Yeah,
does.
which is, that's a helpful thing to know, that there's somebody out there who is kind of an advocate, sort of a neutral advocate.
Yes.
And that's good to know, and a friendly person who isn't going to be like, Oh, you screwed that up again.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So Molly, thank you. This has been
Yes.
great. I think we're probably out of time, so we probably need to wrap it up. But I thank you for coming and for explaining kind of what can be sort of a daunting and scary thing for people. Because, oh my gosh, if you make a mistake, you're in trouble for a whole year. So anyway, thank you for offering your expertise. I appreciate it. And I want to remind our viewers, it's never too late to live and learn.
So, I'm playing with the dog, and I get this robocall from the Social Security Administration saying my card had been suspended and I had to call them back immediately. And that's when I remembered a tip from the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Random robocall? This is a Social Security scam.
Recognize fraud sooner,
Robots.
so your money lives longer. The younger you are, the more you need AARP.
Hi, I'm Barb Tyler, and today I'm going to be talking with Kathleen Alsey, who is the Executive Director of Link to Literacy, an organization that encourages reading. So Kathleen, tell me about yourself a little bit and how you got interested in this organization.
Absolutely. Thanks, Barb. I am, I kind of grew up as a reader, but not totally an avid reader. And how Link to Literacy came to be was I had 2 young kids, under 2. We were living in the Bay Area in California. My husband was commuting to the city, and it was really long days. And as a young mom with 2 under 2, it was stressful, and kids
Been
would
there, done that.
Yep, kids would be crying. I would be crying. One has the wrong shaped chicken nugget. One is having trouble nursing. All of the things, and we would all just be stressed out. And I would sit in front of our bookshelf at our house in Menlo Park, California, and I would pull out a book from that bookshelf and just open it up through tears, start reading aloud. And then before I knew it, everybody was calm. Everybody was quiet. I had 2 little fuzzy heads in my lap, and it was just our peace and our calm. And it dawned on me then how much privilege I had of being able to have a home library like that, at that resource at my fingertips whenever I needed it to bring my family together. So that's when I started doing book drives, actually in California. And that was before Link to Literacy came to be. I was just doing that as a mom for places like the Ronald McDonald House there at Stanford, and I would do them for the homeless shelters around there. So then when I moved back to Lincoln, I continued to do that, brought other people along with me, and we got the idea that book access and representation within those books and teaching parents and caregivers how to read with their kids is really important, and a gap that wasn't being really filled here.
So this is unique to Lincoln then, this Link to Literacy. You
Link to
found
Literacy.
it. Okay. So that's where I wasn't sure about. So it's all about books, which promotes the idea of parents and caretakers reading to the kids. But I know there's different programs within your organization. So can you tell us about maybe 1 or 2 that really promotes this idea, that how you get it out to the public?
Yeah, sure. So it started with just talking with different organizations about what their literacy needs are, and then filling those needs as they came about. If they needed specific STEM-related books that had Indigenous representation or things very specific to the organization. So we still do that. And then also a couple of our bigger programs is we have connected and partnered with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library.
Great.
So that is an international organization. And so we are the local affiliates for Lancaster County and Thurston County. And so we have over I think I just looked it up yesterday, 5,481 children.
Why Thurston?
Thurston County, yeah. We got connected there with Joe Starita, was talking with us about how big of a need there is up in Macy and Walt Hill. These are the reservation areas, and books are pretty non-existent in the home. So we met with the leaders there, and they were very interested. So almost all of the kids are registered.
So I imagine your goal is someday to be for all of Nebraska at least. I would
Absolutely.
hope.
There are several other counties that are covered through different organizations. We even connect with this really sweet kid. He's in Adams County.
So you mentioned the other organizations that you work with. Can you tell us a little bit about those here locally?
Yeah. So here locally, we do a lot of work with the community learning centers, with teammates mentoring. We do things with a lot of the other cultural centers.
Malone Center and so forth.
Yep, Malone, Brave Bee, a lot of foster care agencies as well. Our Empower Me program provides books and back to school supplies for like backpacks and lunch boxes for kids in foster care.
So I imagine this is a nonprofit.
Yes.
And so how can and donations are welcome, but what else can people do? Do you actually ask for books, or do the people just prefer the cash that you go out and buy the books needed at certain places? What can people do to help you?
Yeah, so we have, because we do our books so specifically for each organization or each project, we generally don't take book donations, physical book donations, unless they're like 20 or more copies that fit a current need to do like a book club or something. But that also uncovered a local need where there's not a lot of places to take used books. So every year in August we have an annual, 2025 is our third annual Word Stock event. And our Word Stock event, we have book drop locations all over the city for 6 weeks prior to the event. And then we have thousands of people come and be able to take as many books as they want. We call it a groovy book swap event with food trucks and stuff too.
So do you go to different organizations maybe that cater to seniors? I'm thinking the Aging Partners or something like that, that you could go and promote this idea for foster grandparents or grandparents or older neighbors to children that they could get involved in this. How do you promote that within the city?
Yeah, absolutely. So we would love to get more involved with some of the senior partners to do some mentoring as well with some generational. Our mission statement is to create to inspire generations through book ownership and so I think that incorporating different generations in our Book Bridge program as well of reading to younger people would be a lot of fun too. If we could, I've always had a dream of making a program where we match the senior citizens with preschoolers.
Yes, they do that in some schools for different reasons, but that I think that'd be great. And as you were talking, I was just thinking it'd be even great if junior high school kids could be a mentor to the younger kids, get involved in kind of a buddy system, like a big brother, big sister type thing. I think that'd be kind of neat. So just to be clear, because I work with Lincoln Literacy, you don't teach language skills, you encourage the reading and knowledge that way. Amazing
organization. Lincoln Literacy is with teaching the phonics. We don't teach the phonics and how to read in the language skills like that. And our Book Bridge program actually teaches reading strategies, and so we do have some similar groups with LPS Family Literacy. We go in and do our Book Bridge program, which is teaching parents and caregivers those reading strategies. So even our neighbors that don't read English, they can use wordless books or use English books to still read to their children. So we teach them how to use books in general, not just reading the words.
You know, as you're talking, I'm just thinking with what I do with Lincoln Literacy, I could see the kids helping their parents, adults, as they learn to read. Sometimes the parents don't know it, because I know in my cases they help each other. They're interpreters, basically.
Absolutely.
So that would be great for the kids. So the other organizations you work with, like the Malone Center, and you mentioned Community Learning, Lutheran Family Services in Cedars. Do they come to you with specific needs? Do you feel a specific need, or you just go in with your program and present it? And how does that work?
It can work in a multitude of ways. So the Empower Me packs that we use with the children in foster care, those are age specific, and we make one of those for each age group. So that's one option. But if Cedars has come to us with some other specific needs for their programs where we can fill the gaps that they are not getting met. And so we'll do that too.
So if somebody out in our audience wanted to go out and become a reader, well, how do they go about contacting you, or how do they get involved? What's the process?
So we have lots of different volunteer opportunities, including being part of those Book Bridge presentations, but also we do a lot of boothing events, and everything is posted on volunteerlnk.org. It's the United Way app.
Okay.
And so to get registered on there, or you can just send us an email at info@linkedtoliteracy.org.
I think they'll probably put that information up on the screen. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, is how somebody's hearing this and they want to get involved, because reading is such, you can control your time. It's not it's not that much. What else should we? I know you've got an event coming up in September.
Yes.
And anything else that September and the rest of the year?
Yeah, so September we were awarded a Arts Midwest from the NEA grant, and so for that it's called Read. Wow. Yes, it's a Surrounding the House on Mango Street is the book, and so we're going to be partnering with the Sheldon, the Lead Center, lots of the cultural centers to really celebrate our community and read this book together. So we'll be having that kickoff at the Lead Center on September 12th.
Okay,
and then there will be events now through next June.
And I imagine volunteers are needed.
Absolutely. Volunteers will be needed for that. There will be a lot of community conversations to just be involved with.
So do the kids then, so is there an age limit here? Is it like it's from preschool on to a certain age? Where do you find most of your kids ranging in age from?
I mean, I would say we definitely focus on our early literacy from 0 to like 8th grade, but but we do serve everyone.
Okay, so and then the kids, they probably get involved. You don't take books, but I imagine cash. Time is a big thing. I don't have a lot of cash, but I have time. So time is a big thing. So if they want to, even the kids could help. Then they could be a great volunteer for you too.
Oh, absolutely. The book packing is a lot of fun. My kids have been involved since they could walk.
And I'm thinking back to when my kids were little. They need community service hours? So that would probably help, and you could do something like that with the kids.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. We have all of that, and we have a lot of great volunteers that are in high school and.
Well, what else? Like I said, I'm glad we had this conversation, because I thought you started it here, but I wasn't sure. Anything else you'd like to add about the organization? What you need, to make the? I assume we'll have the website up so they can make a donation of that sort. Yeah. But these ideas, the Dolly Parton thing that you mentioned. Any other big names step up? Are you after any other solicitations there?
Yeah, no, I would say just that Dolly Parton Imagination Library is absolutely an incredible program. It's been around for 30 years.
Really? I didn't know that.
And so this is the first time that it's been in Lincoln and in different parts of Nebraska, and it's a substantial cost to us. It's about $32 a year for each kid.
Each kid.
For each kid.
And how many kids?
Right now we have 5,481
Holy
kids. So that's a significant part of our budget, and it's going to be that way forevermore. The whole idea is for these kiddos to go into kindergarten with a home library of 60 books. And in states that this has been going on for a long time, those 60 books, that home library can be used for so many things. When a kindergarten teacher knows that each kid in that classroom has those books at home, you can talk about different empathy and cognitive, different things that are very
wow,
good
I didn't
for
know
their,
that. That's really good.
Yeah. So we're just getting started, and
so how long has it been going?
2 years.
Just 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you've done well then. You've done very well. Yeah. Thanks for taking time today to come in and talk to us, and to the audience. Please tune in again for more interviews with people around the community. And remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
My kid has been asking for this hot new gaming thing, and I was like, okay, he had a birthday coming up anyway. So I finally find the video game online, in stock. Thing is, it was from this shoddy website full of typos. That's when I remembered a tip I got from the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Bogus website? This is a shopping scam. Got us matching t-shirts instead.
Recognize fraud sooner.
He loves his.
So your money lives longer. The younger you are, the more you need AARP.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Masters and welcome to Live and Learn. We are for a great treat with two leaders in the long-term care industry. Jaylene Carpenter, President and CEO of the Nebraska Healthcare Association, and Kirsten Reed, President and CEO of Leading Age Nebraska. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, delighted to have you here. Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Very grateful. For our viewers, who may have heard about long-term care, but they may be unfamiliar with your organizations, I'm wondering if we could take a little time just to acquaint them with Nebraska Healthcare Association, Leading Age Nebraska. And so Jaylene, I'm wondering if you could kick it off, and then Kirsten will turn to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nebraska Healthcare Association, we have an umbrella of different organizations that we represent. The primary two are nursing facilities and assisted living communities across Nebraska. So that's our primary focus of what we do every day, is to help educate, advocate, and support for nursing homes and assisted living communities. We also have a accredited post-secondary college under our umbrella that we host CNA Med Aid classes, we do assisted living administrator training, and a few other courses. And then we have a foundation whose entire purpose is to help grow a vital workforce for long-term care communities. So that's just a brief example of what we do.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Kirsten?
Yeah, so Leading Age Nebraska is a statewide organization that also supports nursing homes and assisted livings, but we also represent that entire spectrum of aging services. So all of your home and community-based services, home health, home care, hospice, and everything in between. So our role or our mission is to provide them with support through education. We do ongoing education and events throughout the year, as well as advocacy for long-term care services for older adults, and then just really collaborating with all of those partners.
Excellent. So before we get too far down the road talking about challenges and opportunities, I'm wondering if each of you could talk about how you got into the industry in the first place. So Kirsten, let's start with you, and then Jaylene.
Sure. So I actually started my professional career in college in developmental disability services. So I wasn't in this type of long-term care, but developmental disability services really spans the whole lifespan. So I actually did that while I was going to college, got my bachelor's degree in social work at Nebraska Wesleyan, and then went on to UNO and got a master's in social work and public administration from there, and spent about 20 years working in developmental disabilities. And I started out in that field in association work and kind of decided to go back to working in an association, support, education, those kinds of things. So then found my way to Leading Age about 4 years ago.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for entering the aging arena in terms of your expertise. Jaylene?
Yeah, I have spent my whole career in long-term care, so I fell into it like many of us do. I graduated from college and got a job as an office manager in a nursing facility, and made my way to administrator, served as a regional director of operations, and it was there that I had an amazing opportunity to do a Future Leaders program where they had you define your personal mission statement. And it was during that process that I realized that my talents really led me to this role, to be able to serve long-term care in a different way. So I've spent 20 years in long-term care, and the last 4 as the president and CEO of the association.
Thanks for giving of yourself in terms of long-term care for both of you. You know, we know that there are challenges in long-term care, and just wondering your thoughts about, you know, what are those challenges for people who may need more care than what might be able to be provided in the home? So Jaylene, and then we'll volley to Kirsten.
Yeah, we were having this conversation earlier. I think right now the biggest challenge is going to be access for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're a particularly rural state, so if you are in a more rural area, the ability to access the right level of care at the right time is becoming more challenging. We've had closures of facilities, of assisted livings and nursing homes all across the state. So access from accessibility of, you know, how far away am I? But then the other access issue is really available staff. Having our facilities have adequate staff to be able to accept new residents, so that people can go close to home. But when you are quickly having an aging population, your staff is aging out. So really the biggest challenge I see for us is access, but it's a twofold issue. It's the proximity, but also the availability of workforce.
And isn't it interesting when you said about staff aging? We don't think about that very often.
Oh, very
do we?
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't have enough people coming up behind them to fill those roles. And I agree, the closures and the workforce has become a critical issue, especially because we have more people who are aging coming in to these services. So it's going to leave us definitely in a bind. We also have a much wider variety of services to choose from, which also spreads that staffing pretty thin.
So I think that's interesting though when you said there's a wide variety of services. So in addition to the traditional services of things such as nursing homes and now assisted living, it's been around long enough that it seems traditional, not a novelty. What are some of the other services that people could access from a home environment?
Yeah. So, I mean, independent living is almost like an apartment style living. So if people choose to do that, and there's very limited assistance for them in those services, but a lot of people we're seeing want to live at home. And so as they continue to age, having those services come in their home. Anything from non-medical home care, we've got a lot of those organizations that are providing support, home health services if they need actual health care in that space. Also, really innovative programs. There's some intergenerational types of housing programs, and then also the PACE program in Omaha, which really allows people to have all of that healthcare and support around them while still allowing them to live in their home.
So PACE being?
It's the program for all-inclusive services for the elderly. Right. So they really kind of bring all of those services to wrap around that person that is being supported in their home, but also providing them transportation to their medical services and appointments, and kind of take on that responsibility of coordinating that care.
Absolutely. So, Jaylene, I want to go back to something you mentioned in terms of workforce, and that's something Nebraska Healthcare Association has been involved in. What do you see as some opportunities for people in terms of attracting them to long-term care?
Yeah, it's been an initiative that our foundation has been very passionate about, and we've had a couple of different projects that's tried to address how do we attract new people to our industry when we know it's a very limited pool. So we took sort of a two-pronged approach. First, we commissioned a docuseries called People Worth Caring About. It's 7 episodes. They're about 15 minutes long, and our host follows around individuals working in every different type of position in a facility. And it's been really impactful, and it helps sort of show the real work. We talk a lot about how people don't really know what happens in nursing homes and assisted livings until they're there, and so how to share that story in a different way. We also started a project 2 years ago with Nebraska Medical Association, Nebraska Hospital Association, called Healthcare Heroes, and it gets kids as young as 3rd grade learning about health science careers. And so the goal is that we start them young, start having them introduced to different concepts. So those are the 2 big ones that we've been working on.
Well, it's that idea of planting a seed, isn't it? And it's also this idea, and I think about for the 2 of you and your members, really changing the narrative of what long-term care is, isn't it? Yeah. Their ideas of what a nursing home could be, maybe 40 or 50 years old.
And even us, as adults in this field or coming into this field, we probably didn't know what that looked like either. And my earliest memories are going to a nursing home when I was in Girl Scouts, as a child, and that's not the same place that you're walking into anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So what are some innovative things that are going on within nursing homes, assisted livings, that might change that narrative?
You want to go?
Yeah, sure. I think you brought up the intergenerational, which is one of my favorite concepts that we have out there. But some of that's not new. We have some small rural communities who really integrate with their community, either through a daycare or after-school program. And while that doesn't sound like technology or innovation, it really is, because it's ensuring that our seniors have access to their community, which is so important, and it gets young people involved sooner. Like you said, first time you went to a nursing home was when you were in a Girl Scout. So I think those are some of the innovative things that are happening that build community, which people don't often think about when they think about nursing homes or assisted living facilities.
Fantastic.
I think the other thing is that the industry has changed, and we're very focused on making sure that individuals have choices and that we're following through on those choices. So service for you is going to look very different from service for me.
Right.
And each person gets to decide what that path looks like and how they're going to age and in what setting.
You know, I think, if I may, I think about Mr. Vetter, Jack Vetter, and his addition of ice cream machines and popcorn machines with the idea of attracting younger people, but also, and maybe one of you can complete that story, but that idea that you can come have ice cream however.
So I was blessed to run a Vetter facility for a long period of my career, and it's fascinating to me because my daughter, who we live in a small community, all of her friends will talk about going to the facility in town to get ice cream and to visit somebody. Everybody knows, like all the kids know that that's where you go, and I'm just, to me it's a huge testament of the investment, right? People don't think about that investment in your community through ice cream, but it really is, and those kids know that's where you can go and hang out.
Absolutely, and that idea that it's not just the ice cream, but let's have a conversation. And again, it's about planting seeds. So we have just about a minute remaining, and a question that is asked of all the guests. And we'll start with you. What brings you hope?
Oh, you know, I am so lucky to be in the position that I am, and I get to visit with providers of aging services all across the state. And I think they are the ones that bring me hope, to know that, you know, my parents are now at an age where we have services in their home. So how are we all working together for the greater good for the future, and knowing that there's people out there who are dedicated to that? That brings me hope.
It's beautiful. Jaylene?
You know, what brings me hope is the work that they do every day, so, like, just without recognition. Right? Every facility I've ever been to, there is always a CNA who has gone above and beyond. There's always an activities director who on the weekends is taking residents for car rides. Like, there is so many little things that happen every single day, and there are people who truly care who work in these communities, and that is what gives me hope, because that will definitely prevail.
Wow, what a beautiful way to end this. Well, we are so grateful to the two of you for your willingness to give of your time, but also to help us get a glimpse into your world and to understand there really are good things happening in the long-term care industry, and that our future is a good one. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're very welcome. And to our viewers, remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
I was doing some shopping and got a pop-up on my laptop. Computer had a virus. So I called the number on the page, and the guy on the phone wants to take control of my screen to sort it out. Then I remember a tip I got from the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Control my screen. This is a tech support scam. Thankfully, my order still went through.
Recognize fraud sooner so your money lives longer. The younger you are, the more you need AARP.
Hi, I'm Kim Hachia, and I am excited today that my guest is Ruth Ann Linus, Live and Learn host emerita. She was one of several hosts who were with the program from 2000 to about 2011, and I've invited her back to talk kind of about the good old days. Welcome back, Ruth Ann. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Kim. It's lovely to be here.
Does it feel like old home to be here on the set?
Both yes and no. There have been changes, as you know. We're using high fidelity cameras. We have a green screen instead of a set that had to be that was sandbagged and had to be moved around when it was no longer needed. And some of the people are still here, and that is lovely. The door says the Bill Luxford Studio, and that's both gratifying and sad. We all miss Bill Luxford, who was our director.
I think we have a picture from back in the day of you with some of a previous host, Peggy Briggs, who's also passed away, and Bill, and our producer, Bo. There's the picture.
Oh.
There you are wearing green. You could not have worn green.
No,
today.
that green, we would have disappeared right into the backdrop.
Right.
We all the hosts wore that green jacket, although Peggy isn't wearing hers, but mine was the standard green jacket that hosts wore.
That's really interesting. So tell me how you got involved with the program to begin with.
I saw an ad in the senior newsletter. It was the one that preceded, as I recall, it was the one that preceded Living Well, the current magazine. I have no idea why I thought that would be something I could do. I thought it was interesting, the idea that there would be a television show that would extol the virtues of this of what is now Aging Partners, which was then Lincoln Area Agency on Aging. Quite a mouthful. So, came down, auditioned, was chosen, and was surprised.
Yeah,
to,
it's
to be
fun.
chosen.
That's kind of exactly how I found out about it too. I saw an ad and thought, that sounds like fun.
Yes.
Because you told me that you like the concept of storytelling.
Very much so. I was an English teacher and then an English administrator, and English teachers like a story. So my first 10 years after retirement I had spent as a docent at the History Museum. It seemed logical. And then I saw the ad and moved over here for the next 10.
We talked, you and I chatted about some of your favorite segments, and you said it was hard to pick because you did a lot of them.
Yes.
But maybe your three favorite were the O Street Gang, U.S. Federal Judge Warren Urbom, and Ted Sorensen, who was an advisor to President Kennedy.
Yes.
So let's talk about the O Street Gang.
Right.
And here we are. Here's a picture of Ted Sorensen. So his picture's up. Why don't you tell me about Ted?
All right, Ted. By the time I interviewed him, he had lost his vision to a stroke. I knew he was coming here to a Thompson Forum. I had read a marvelous article in the Lincoln Journal by Don Walton about Ted and his life and where he lived and what he was doing now. He had by that time retired from everything but his law practice, which he could do even though he no longer had his vision. Don Walton gave me his contact information. I'd tried before, but it's difficult to reach someone like that if you try first through their publisher, as I did, who did not return. And it happened that Ted had come to Lincoln once to do things for the university, and he said, just contact me. Anyway, I contacted him through his law office, wrote a letter, said that we would like to talk to him for whatever time he had, 15 minutes to an hour. And his secretary called when the letter arrived there and asked if an hour would be enough. I allowed his hour.
Wow, an hour. That's good.
It was.
And then Judge Urbom, he presided over a very famous trial.
Yes, he did.
The Wounded Knee trial, and you told me that you really enjoyed speaking with him.
Very much so, because he is such a nice man and thoughtful. I had read about the Wounded Knee trials in the newspaper, but in the mid-70s I was busy with work and 5 children and all that goes with both of those things, keeping the family going. So I didn't have time to even read the articles completely. I read this headline and that headline and knew that it was a time, it was fraught. There was danger of lots of things. And he brought that to a conclusion, and that was another headline that I read. So impressed by it.
Right, and it was so nice that you could talk to him to kind of get sort of his, 20 years out, sort of a long-term view of history.
Yes, and he had never been interviewed on television before.
Wow.
We met at someone's funeral, and he was just in the background there helping people find their way to the food after the funeral. And he was so generous with his time later and acknowledged that he hadn't been asked before. When I asked him if he had written about it, perhaps in a book, he had not done that yet, but he was sort of doing that. And the book came out later. So our interview was just special, and I'd be happy to tell you more about that if we have time.
Well, we were going to talk about the O Street Gang.
Yes.
So for people that are watching, the O Street Gang was sort of, what were they, and why did you want to talk to those individuals?
because it had been so interesting. In fact, all of the things that I got to do as a host were things that interested me. And we might want to talk about how we all helped one another with our planning. But the O Street Gang had always interested me because I knew that in some quarters they were not appreciated, and in other quarters they were very much appreciated. The name had been given to a group of Lincoln leaders by Omaha people of similar status in Omaha, I believe. They referred in a very put-down way to, oh, that O Street Gang.
And these were gentlemen, for the most part, that had the big stores that were on O Street downtown.
They were the leaders in Lincoln. They did. They had the big stores. They had, well, their incomes were probably all much higher than the average. And they were Lincoln's informal governmental group. Lincoln at that time didn't have a strong mayor-council government as we do now. So there was something of a vacuum. These civic leaders, all of whom I knew had really loved Lincoln and really cared a lot about it, took over. They ate lunch at Miller and Payne at the round table there, and they actually had dues. Dues were administered by a Lincoln banker. The members of the O Street Gang, and you almost have to say that in quotes, had no idea what other people's dues were. They only knew what theirs were. Interesting, isn't it?
And what were some of the things that they did? How did they exert their leadership?
Well, they kept some things going that would not have gone otherwise. They bought great blocks of tickets for the football games at a time when our football team was not achieving.
This was in the 1950s mostly?
No, I think
or even
sooner.
earlier?
I think pre-war even.
Oh, wow.
You know, I'm not absolutely sure about the dates in which they worked, but it was a time when our football team, it was pre-Devaney.
Okay.
Pre-Devaney. They bought blocks and blocks of tickets. They kept the team going. In later years, that sort of came back because there was some resentment that they had so many tickets, but that was why.
But they bought tickets and gave them away so then people would go to the games, and before and after the game they would go to the store.
Yes. So it redounded to them too, a benefit for all of that. But I doubt that we would have the parks, the zoos, the many amenities that we have had that group of men not just taken it upon themselves to do what they did. I knew they were gone now. By the time I got around to being able to interview them, and they exemplify too what I have always observed. In 10 years of being a host, no one ever said no except one time, and that person recommended someone else to do it instead. So people have been so cooperative. I interviewed really descendants. I interviewed a wife, and the rest happened to be sons because they were the ones that were available.
Right.
But I guess that was in keeping because the O Street Gang, to my knowledge, was mostly men. All men.
In 10 years, you only had one turn down. Do you think that's because everybody knew you were such a great interviewer?
I don't know. I think we have a lot of people in Lincoln who are very, very interested in making Lincoln a better place to live. It may well be that Channel 5 has a lot to do with that. It may be that the Aging Partners have a lot to do with that, because the mission of Aging Partners is to make life better for older folks in Lincoln and to help them find resources that they might not otherwise find.
So what have you been doing since you left the show?
Oh, I have been, well, in the first 2 years after I left, I was always at home. They were my husband's last 2 years. So I was home with him and did nothing at all outside home. Since 2013, I have enjoyed some bridge clubs, some a book club, a study club that, study clubs have been around Lincoln for quite a while. And they were an early way for women to exercise their brain power because, well, I should say other than exercising their brain power at home, which of course is where most of them were, all of them, I think.
And I know that you've been very involved in OLLI.
Oh yes, the OLLI group at the university has been a wonderful opportunity. That, like Aging Partners, is just a magnificent addition to Lincoln because the fees for the classes are low enough and the people who arrange them are bright enough and represent so many diverse interests that the result is an ever increasingly more interesting schedule of events.
I think I've seen their schedule, and it looks to me like you could be busy about 24 hours a day if you got really involved with them.
You could, and maybe some people are, because there are individual things like a walking club, which is just walking. There are trips. There are interest groups that have to do with things that just scratch your brain and make you think, and sometimes develop positions on some of the issues of the day. All of these things are very interesting. Well, there's a performance, as you may know, that takes place each year so far for the past 5 or 6 years, I think. So lots of things people can find to do.
I'd like to thank you for agreeing to join the show today, Ruth Ann. It's been delightful. We could probably have talked on for another hour or so.
I'm sure. I would be happy to talk about some of those.
We're going to close the show right now, and Ruth Ann and I have decided that we are going to say the tagline together.
Yes, if you cue me. So it's been a while.
So let's cue. We're going to do it in 3, 2, 1.
All right.
It's never too late to live and learn.